Welcome to the Oklahoma City National Memorial.
We come here to remember
those who were killed,
those who survived, and those changed forever.
May all who leave here know the impact of violence.
May this memorial offer comfort,
strength,
peace,
hope, and serenity.
Downtown Oklahoma City. April 19th, 1995, a terrorism attack. A truck bomb injures more than 800 victims. The litany of the dead will include 168 names. Among the worst acts of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building destroyed. Terrorism has struck the heart of America, but touched hearts around the world. A field of empty chairs now symbolize the lives lost on that spring day. The Oklahoma City National Memorial. Join us on a walking tour of the grounds. The designers of this more than 3-acre site, Hans and Tori Bootzer, will be your guides.
One of the things that we were hoping that people would take from this place is a sense of calm and a sense of understanding that this is so much of what life is about. It is so much about tragedy and so much about how we deal with that tragedy.
A place that draws visitors from around the world.
And I think that we've provided a place where they can come and hopefully find what they're looking for.
Your tour begins at the survivor tree. Please make your way to that site. Press pause until you're ready for the tour to continue.
The survivor tree is this powerful character in a story, and the manner in which it stands over the site, really kind of watching over the chairs and standing there so prominently is a reminder that together we've pulled through this, and it's really about how beautiful life still can be if we simply carry forward.
The survivor tree was severely damaged by the blast, its leaves sheared off by the force of the explosion, shrapnel like metal spears embedded in its bark. Yet it has thrived.
The roots of that tree mean so much to resisting all the things that life throws at us.
It's a place where people can gather. It's a place in large numbers, or a place where people can come and have their lunch. Or they can bring kids and kids can run around in the grass. So it's almost like more of a park-like setting.
And so the survivor tree and its terraces below encourage visitors to take shelter under its canopy and sit on those terraces and look back at the empty chairs. And it really just talks a bit about the reality that you have people through whatever fate survived the tragedy, and on the other side you have those who did not.
Please pause as you make your way to the field of empty chairs.
My personal favorite time to be here is really at dawn, just as the sun is breaking. The light has such a beautiful, cool quality to it. The chair lights are still on. To me, that is where I can best sense the peace and at the same time the power of the loss that occurred here.
The loss continues to be felt. 168 lives. Many of those killed were workers in the federal building. Some were visitors. Others, children, playing in the second-floor daycare center.
Poetically, the idea behind the chairs is that it reminds us so starkly of how, like, the numbers of people that were taken from us in an instant. The chairs speak of the absence. It's almost a literal way that so many people can relate to a chair, something we're also familiar with, it being empty, and that can be very powerful. On the other hand, to me, it can almost mean a presence of someone. it can evoke memories. I think a lot of people come here and they think about the people who these chairs are representing and their lives. And so in that way, they almost embody the presence of 168 individuals here on this site.
Each chair is handcrafted, no two exactly the same. Bronze forms the framework. The hand-blown glass of the base catches the sunlight.
Each panel has its own pattern of bubbles. I mean, from afar they look the same, but there's not a panel that's identical to any other. They each have their own unique character. That even though they look the same, that they are, in a smaller scale, very different from the next, representing 168 very different people.
19 of the victims were children. 15 of them perished in the daycare center. The Bootsers designed the children's chairs to be smaller, setting them apart.
The decision to have these two sizes of chairs was very important in helping people recognize that the innocence of the victims is just so overpowering, and the fact that you have these small children that are folded into this senseless act of violence is all the more painful.
Every evening, as dusk settles on the memorial, the chairs begin to glow, fighting the darkness.
At night, these chairs, the bases light up, and I hope that brings some sort of comfort to those families who had to endure this loss, that they see that these little chairs become beacons of hope at night, and they're reminded of all the wonderful things that their child and their family member, all the wonderful moments that they had in their lifetime and what joy they brought to their family.
In front of the chairs, loblolly pines stand as sentries. They outline the footprint of where the federal building once stood. As the trees mature, they'll grow to be about 100 feet tall and will approximate the height of the Murrah Building on April 19, 1995.
We wanted to have trees that were green all year round, and that for us provided another level of comfort to the family members and survivors and to the visitor, that these chairs would always be surrounded by green.
To understand the scope of the tragedy, you're invited to visit the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum to learn more about the victims. As the tour continues, please make your way to the reflecting pool. It's in the center of the site. Please press pause until you're ready to continue. The reflecting pool runs down the center of the memorial grounds. It's been likened to a 318-foot-long liquid mirror.
Well, the reflecting pool really serves as the very heart of the memorial space. The pool and the way it's situated and the way it's designed also has to play the role of kind of helping try to bring order to where once was chaos.
We didn't design a big splashy fountain where it was very obvious how the water was falling and where the sound was coming from, but rather something that was more mysterious. You hear this calming sound of water flowing, but you can't quite tell where it's coming from, and I think that's part of the mystery that we wanted to provide with this pool.
The reflecting pool gives the illusion of great depth, when actually the water is less than an inch deep. The designers believe that a visit to the memorial can have a lasting impact on those who reflect on what happened here.
When you look into the reflecting pool, you see the face of one changed forever.
Please make your way to the 901 gate at the end of the reflecting pool. Press pause until you're ready to continue your tour.
We have these large gates at either end of the reflecting pool, sort of saying to the city, stop, something happened here, you can't go through here anymore.
And so the gates for us became these almost calling cards or building scale thresholds that allow the city to transition into the memorial space. But they also have this very important role of really kind of setting the table and to let people know a tragedy occurred here.
The gates of time are bronzed bookends that capture the moment of the bombing between them. The gate to the east is 9:01 a.m., the minute before the blast. The 903 gate represents the minute after the explosion when healing begins. 4 stories tall, they each feature an empty space between 2 walls.
A vestibule is a very appropriate way of thinking about that space. A space that allows you to transition from everyday life into the more sacred space. And so we are very much interested in creating a more compressed room that allows people to kind of leave their thoughts behind, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and to really start to focus, compress their emotions and think more about this memorial space.
As the sun sets, the gates take on a different character.
It was important that the experience of the gates change during the day and at night. And so hence we clad these concrete walls with bronze and allowing light to glow from behind the bronze panels so that at night these very stout, heavy gates almost feel like they start to lift upwards towards the heavens. And you have this change of sense of understanding of the space, and suddenly your thoughts are more about the sky and less about the events that happened as the earth was scarred.
Please walk now to the Survivors Wall, located in the southeast corner of the memorial, next to the 901 gate. Press pause until you're ready to continue your tour again. The 2 surviving walls from the Federal Building are located here, on the eastern end of where the Murrah Building stood.
And we thought that it was so important that they play an important role in your understanding of the site. And so we attempted to do all we could to maintain the integrity of these walls, and also started to see them as a chapel-like space in which you could begin to focus not just on the surviving walls, but actually on the names of the survivors of the bombing.
Etched in granite are the names of those who know of April 19th by having been there. 4 panels from the Murrah Building contain the roll calls of those who survived the fertilizer bomb.
It seemed very appropriate to put names of the survivors on these old surviving panels that were from the building itself, and to place these panels on the only surviving walls of the Murrah Building. So this theme of surviving is very inherent to this whole corner of the Murrah Building footprint.
To hear the first-person accounts of the bombing through the eyes of the survivors, you're invited to visit the Memorial Museum after your tour. Your tour will continue at the fence, located on the street side of the 903 gate. A chain-link fence was erected around the bombing site during rescue and recovery efforts. The fence became a magnet for well-wishers who left messages of condolences and gifts hanging from it. A portion of the original fence now stands on the west side of the memorial.
And the community came back to us and asked if we could, within the confines of our design idea, find a place for the fence that helped people realize its role, its importance. And so the fence really could speak a bit more about the future, how we've dealt with this tragedy and how we continue to deal with the tragedy.
Visitors continue to leave mementos on the fence, reminders of the deep emotional bond that exists between Oklahoma City and the world. Please continue your tour in the Rescuer's Orchard, the grove of trees just west of the Survivor Tree. The Rescuer's Orchard is a living tribute of fruit and flowering trees. It honors the thousands of volunteers who rushed to Oklahoma City in the aftermath of the bombing. Many are redbud trees, native to Oklahoma. They paint a brilliant border of color around the memorial.
We chose redbuds to surround the Survivor Tree because of their color. They bloom in April, they're beautiful, and they help us during that time when the bombing happened, and we're remembering that every year in April. And then we have these redbuds there, and their brilliant color to comfort us in some way, and to also help us remember all the people who came to help.
The trees stand in formation, much like the army of rescue personnel who came to the site.
And we very much wanted to select plants that would complement the American elm of the Survivor Tree, which also changes colors quite beautifully in the seasons. It's this brilliant bright yellow, and so around that brilliant yellow in the fall we picked pistache trees that had a fiery red color. And so it was very much about reminding people that life has cycles. There are good times and there are bad times, and we always have that next season to look forward to see if we can become stronger.
The orchard stands as a proud reminder of the rescuers who, often at their own expense, came from around the nation and from around the block in those moments after 9/03. Our final stop on the tour will be the children's area located in front of the museum entrance. Simply press pause until you're ready to complete the tour. The children's area features giant chalkboards where little ones can express themselves.
They represent innocence, they represent hope to all of us. And as we refined the design, we looked for an area that was perhaps separate from the more solemn space of the chairs, the reflecting pool, and the tree, where children could leave their own thoughts behind and find a way to engage the site.
In the days after the tragedy, children sent more than 5,000 hand-painted ceramic tiles as their way of reaching out to Oklahomans.
Here we have these little children's handprints that again speak so eloquently of the fact that we can't forget these are people who died and that there are children here that are looking to us, the adults, to figure out how should we behave, how can we move forward. Both Tori and I feel as if we've been blessed and given a very special opportunity.
That's very rewarding, that we've created a place that's open to interpretation, because everyone heals in different ways and needs different environments or different ways to deal with this.
It's so much about people finding their own way to connect to the site, to the tragedy, and hopefully come away from this place recognizing that perhaps they've learned something that they can use in their own lives to make this world a better place.